welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and project recipe number 3. We're on page 10 and 11 in our sketchbook. And remember, our sketchbook is 52 scrapbooking project recipes. If you still do not have this book and you've decided that you absolutely need it, please email me at tilleyps@gmail.com and we'll work out arrangements to get you a book. I still have several of those left. I've sold several recently, and I appreciate you contacting me. When this came around, I knew this was going to be my January plan, and so I made sure to order enough stuff to get some extras of these for those of you who want to follow along. Now, I hesitate to say it, but this project recipe doesn't have a lot of elements in it, so I think it makes it easier for me to say this one will probably be easier. The hardest part about this to me is I have Halloween pictures. These are from a couple of years ago, but I also made a collage of when all of my children wore the same outfit, and now my granddaughter has worn it just for fun. She didn't wear it for Halloween. But when I look at my Halloween pictures, they do not lend themselves to a specific color. We got lots of different colors going on. Sometimes you want to make your pages match the costumes and not necessarily the feel of things. Well, because my pictures have so many different colors in them, I decided I would go with something strictly Halloween-y and do the theme rather than a specific color. So in looking at this sketch, we've got 3 pieces of paper going on. We've got a designer paper, and then dark green cardstock. Now let's look at where they've used the cardstock. That's the blue, so they've used it strictly for photo mats. You know me, my photos are matted in white, so I don't even need this piece right here. But in looking at how the rest of the sketch plays out, this orange is going to be these 2 big pieces right here. So I'm looking at, okay, what do I want my big pieces to be? Do I want it to be this or do I want it to be this? I'm going to go with the black on those 2 largest pieces because my photos are matted in white, and I know they'll show up well against this. Now, it shows us what to do with that, and I'll talk you through that in just a second. But then it also shows us on these green pieces, which are going to be this. There's a mat here. And then these little edges, it looks like. Yeah, I'm looking at what's what. You can see they're corresponding to. We've got the E here, the F here, and then G and H are here. So for those, it's going to use the reverse. So I need to make sure that I like both sides, or I need to have another sheet of paper handy. I'm good with using the reverse side of this. So we're going to go ahead and do our cuts. Now on this first one, which is going to be these big pieces, it's going to tell us that we're going to punch a border. And we're going to do that all the way down one side. Now, if you'll look, that border is attached to this piece of paper. So we want to make sure that we get a border punch or a border cartridge that's attached all the way. Now, I thought it would be really cute to use the masks. The problem is the masks are not attached, and you can tell that because of this open space top and bottom here. So I opted not to go with the mask. I thought this looked kind of cutesy, kind of fun, especially with the kids in my pictures. So I decided I would go with this rainbow ripple punch. And I'm just going to cut all the way down the side of one sheet of paper. Now to do that, I'm lining my paper up according to the black line right here. And I'm going to start right there at that black line. Now, when you slide down, you've got an arrow on this punch, and you want to make sure that you line up the arrow. There are lots of different circles you could deal with, but you got to make sure that you've lined up the arrow and that you've covered up your blue space right here. So be sure with this that you line up your arrow. Now, you can see I did not have my paper straight in here to start with, and I've got a little glitch right there. Not a big deal. We'll cover it up, or we'll pretend it didn't happen, right? So we're almost through cutting this. And that leaves us our little extra spot and all these little goodies that we get to clean off. All right, so we've got that part punched. And then let's see what else it tells us to do. Now look, we've got 2 straight line pieces over here. We want to be sure to cut those off first, because if we do this cut first, we're going to half that. And this is going to be a border. So let's grab our 12-inch trimmer. And these are 1 by 12s. So we just need 1 inch and then 1 more inch. All right. And then it shows us that this is going to be a 10-inch, which it is, let's see, it's 10 inches here to here. So we need to cut it 6 to half that up. Now, what happens if you do a border punch that has a definite up and down on it? In this particular case, that would be easy enough to remedy, because you would just put it at the bottom of your page rather than putting it at the, with the border going up. Now let's go ahead and cut our other paper, and then we'll lay all this out. So we need a 7.5 by 6 inch. So we're going to 7.5 here. And generally speaking, I think this may be always, the first number they show on the sketch is where you need to go when you're measuring. So 7.5 is where I'm starting here. We're going to turn that one and cut it at 6. I think that is always the case with the recipes. I could be wrong, but it works for now. This leaves me a 4.5, which is our first number. I need to cut it at 6.5 here. And it says one of these is going to be reversed. So I can go ahead and flip that if I want to. It says this is going to be a reverse. And then here, I've got a 4.5 by a 5.5 left. And it shows me it goes up and down. And it says punch the edges, then cut in half. So let's look to make sure that we do this right. We're going to punch the edges. And I'm looking to make sure which direction this is going to go. Let me look again, y'all. Punch edges, then cut in half, reverse 1/2. Let's see if it tells us a little bit more about that right here. Here, both have the piece H with repositionable tape. For piece H, punch both edges with the punch. I'm assuming it means these 2 edges, because it looks like we're going to turn that sideways. All right, we'll try it. It's paper. So let's pull our punch back out. This one's going to be a whole lot smaller. And I'll tell you the reason it tells us to punch first and not cut in half first is the fact that if you cut this in half, you're going to have a really small piece and you're not going to be able to use it as easily in your border punch. By punching those edges first, it gives us something to see out here on the outside. Otherwise, the whole piece of paper would be straight into the punch. Now, this sketch would look good for so many different things. I happen to choose Halloween because I'm trying to finish up some projects, and my Halloween album is one that I just add a few pictures to every year at the end of Halloween, and I'm already 2 years behind in it, but this page is going to take care of 1 year, so I don't have much to catch up. All right, to cut this in half, you could do it a couple of different ways. You could measure it out. It's a little more than 4. Or you could fold it. And it's hard to get these lined up because the scallops are in different places. But line up your straight edge right here and fold that. To me, that's going to be the easiest way to half it. So I've got that lined up. All I have to do is slide it in my cutter. All right, so let's put all of this together and see what we got. I pulled this Stardust white paper really because I wasn't sure what to use as my background, but I want to show you two different options here real quickly. So the Stardust White looks like that. This shows to use the reverse side of that. I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with the black on that. I need to trim this little piece up where I wasn't quite at the edge of that when I did the border. Those are going to go there. And then it shows doing one of these as is and then one as a reverse. I think I'm probably going to keep it as an as is, because I do like those dots right there. We're going to have a photo here. I think that's right. Nope. E and F. Let's see what E and F are. E and F are those two pieces that I put there. Then we've got a 4.5 by 6.5, which is this. And it tells us to use the reverse of that. Well, I'm not sure exactly how that's working out. Oh, we've got a G right here. That's going to be this. Somehow we're still not ending up with enough pieces. Okay, E and F are the two big ones. Yes. G is that. All right. And then H is going to be the reverse side. So it'll be these onto this right here. I'm not sure I absolutely love that, just because there's not enough color variation there. So one way we could get around that is to bring this to the bottom and slide that to the top. And I think that's the way I may go with that. All right. So we've laid it out a little bit differently, just because the back of this is not going to show up very well on that. And if I do it the opposite way, I don't love it that way either. So I'm going to keep my dots. I'm going to flip this to the bottom. That gives me some extra pattern. Now, I said I'm going to lay it out on the Stardust White because I wanted you to see it on that. But I had also pulled a couple of pieces of Halloween paper I had left over. And I thought I might go with the look on that just to see what it looks like. Because I might like this so much better, I decided to go with it. And remember, I'm going up here and then using that on the bottom. And to me, that's a little bit busy with the stripes. Don't love it on the stripes, but boy, I think this might be really pretty. This is going to give me so much more color on it. And I'm not really looking to enhance the orange on the opposite page, but that's really cute on that page. I think we can go with that. Do you ever use different backgrounds on your papers? Is that going to drive us crazy? I think we'll try it and see. Now I'm still having a problem with this right here, because this 5.5 is not as large as this piece that we've got going here. And they've shown it in there, and it looks like it's almost exactly the same width, and I'm just not sure how that happened, because we know that that piece is 6 inches. So I'm not sure how they came up with that, but we're going to go with it. That's one of those things that I'm not sure if their measurements are wrong or my measurements are wrong, but somehow that just didn't work for me. Now, you may be able to tell as I'm talking through this, I'm not real invested in these Halloween pictures. And I shouldn't even say that. They're cute pictures. They really are. And I love the people in them. I don't do a whole album every year. I have one album, and I add a couple of pages of Halloween to it each year. So I can't say that I love Halloween, but I did like the fact that I could go back and look at my children's costumes each year, and that was fun to me. It's kind of a history of pop culture in some ways, because you can see what's popular among the kids each year, and that part is fun to me. So, although I'm not necessarily a crazy Halloween person, I do like having this little book with a couple of pages each year. And I did just see where my issue is, and probably some of you have already seen that. They scooted that green piece over onto the punched piece. Still not quite working out. That's the way we're going with it, though. That's going to bug me, and some of you have probably figured it out, and you're going to be telling me in the comments, hey, this is what you did wrong. It's okay. Somebody messaged me the other day and said, I love it that you show us what you do wrong and how you fix it. And, you know, that's a big part of scrapbooking, in my opinion. I mean, if you cut something wrong, it doesn't work out measurement-wise, we don't just throw it in the garbage and start over. We figure out ways to adapt. And I used to feel like I shouldn't show that on my videos, that it all ought to be perfect. And then I realized, you know what? I'm not perfect. Chances are you're not perfect. So why would I want to pretend that we are and we do it right every time? Because we don't. You'll probably notice too, I did not use my repositionable tape to stick the edges of these little scallops. Probably would have been a good idea, but these are going to be page protected really quickly. And I'll just be really careful when I slide my page protector on that I don't catch those and tear them. If you don't use page protectors, you would definitely need to stick all those little edges down really well. See, I'm already seeing places I would need some embellishments. And, you know, that's why we use embellishments, because we have to cover up all of our glitchies. All right, so we've got the basic layout done. Just trying to center that somewhat. That's not bad with the orange on one side and the colors, or the white background on the other side. I don't have a problem with that. Now, in looking at pictures, I already had my pictures printed. You know, I've been printing them with the white mats, which helps me tremendously. And I have several of our girl where she was dressed like Boo from Monsters, Inc. Now, our original sketch also showed that we would have mats here. I'm thinking, just because these are fading into that white background, I may want to add a couple of mats there. And I only have 2 pictures to go on this side. So I may want to add a black mat here to really draw that out a little more. So let's grab a little bit of black and mat these. So we'll go back to our 12-inch trimmer. I'm going to mat both of those on that side. And more often than not, if I don't know specifically the size of my photo, because, you know, I've had it for a while, or I've already matted it and cut it down or whatever, I just stick them directly on my paper and then trim them up. And that seems to work best to me. I know a lot of people would just measure and then go from there, but to me it's just easier to lay them down and cut it out. Okay, those are matted. And let's do this one right here. And I'm still cutting lengthwise first, because I'm being mindful of the fact this could make a really good border at some other point in time. So I like to leave my length as long as possible. And I've got another mat there if I want it down the road. Let's go ahead and stick these on. You can see I used a picture I had messed up in printing to mat this. This was actually an older print that I had done at a store. So I really needed the white mat around it to make it cohesive. And one of the pictures that I printed, I just didn't size it exactly right. So I was able to use the back side of it to make this mat. I just used all kinds of bits and pieces, I'll tell you. Some of you are probably looking already and trying to figure that out. That is an app called Pick Collage. I do not have a paid version of it. I strictly used the freebie version. And I was able to take pictures of old photographs. Like these, I didn't have those digitally. But I took pictures of those old photographs. And I was able to put the kids' names in there. So I know which kid is which. And put those all together on that cute little collage. And then use it to show how they all looked in the same little outfit. Now, I think I'm kind of going back and forth about where I want to go here. I'm thinking I want to go up here, and that's strictly because I don't like where those two meet. That's not one of my favorite parts of this page. And I do have some embellishments, but we'll work those out in a minute. All right, so we've got our 2 pages done. There's a good bit of white there, but it's not so much that it really bothers me because it's that stardust and it's a little bit not quite white. I had done these little embellishments as a print and cut. These two are the same thing, but I did those on my Silhouette machine, and I decided that I would add those. I mean, just because I had them, why not? I love the fact that her daddy was dressed up. So her mommy and daddy both dressed up with her. So let's pull some foam squares. And this side will be our nod to Monsters, Inc. And then on the other side, I'll do a little bit more traditional Halloween-y decor. And we'll be done with these 2 pages. Because those are print and cut, they are on paper. They're not stickers, so I don't have to do anything extra to them. It gives me some good journaling space there, or I can cut out a piece of paper and put it right there. Now let's look at our more Halloween-y side. I pulled these strictly because I love that. It's so cute, it's scary, and I wanted to use that with my cousin's boys. Now it is a sticker. So I'm going to pull out my mat, my anti-stick powder. Remember when you're opening your anti-stick powder to just flip the top off. Don't twist, because it will twist this and open the whole thing up. And you'll end up with powder all over your world. Okay. I'm going to stick a foam square on that. And I really need something to go up there, which is causing me a little bit of problem in my head right now. If I go there, that's really too high for this. So what I'm going to do is stick this kind of close up there. I'm overlapping some dead space on the photo anyway. But then let's see if there's something extra we could add there to make a cute little cluster. I could always stick a little spider up there. That'd be okay. Oh, there's a bigger spider. Maybe we should stick the bigger one there. And then make this into a cluster with several different pieces right there. Let's see, because he's bigger, he's going to cover the edge and sort of touch this too, which makes me feel so much better. I was also looking at this best costume. I think that's fun just because all the kids had on that same costume. Wasn't necessarily the best, but boy, they sure were cute. And I can stick that right down here at the bottom. So aside from a little journaling, these 2 pages are done. That was using our project recipe. And I know I keep calling them sketches, y'all. I'm so sorry. This is project recipe number 3, which is page 9 and 10 in our sketchbook. So enjoy this. Try this idea. See what you like. See what you don't like. See what you can do with it. And leave me some notes in the comments. Tell me what you might have done differently or what you liked, what you don't like. It's okay with me. It doesn't hurt my feelings, and it encourages me to try something different. So, until I see you next time, happy scrapping.